Right guys, so we're here in the old cemetery in Cove, and this was the old caretaker's house here. He looked after the graveyard here area, and apparently there was a man living in that up to about 15 years ago. So that needs to be all done up and restored again, but it looks like there's a good roof on it anyway. So we have just some old cut-offs there from they're tidying up around the cemetery. So what I'm going to do now on this video is take you around and we'll have a look at some of these beautiful graves and the carvings on them. And this is like an obelisk style one, and this is erected by James Cahill of Cove in memory of his wife Mary, who died in 1840, and she was 46 years old. And we can see on this one here we have the angel cherubs on it, and around the other side just there as well. So I just had to go back to the car and change me shoes, put on me wellies. The ground is very wet here today and there's more rain to come, so hopefully I can get this video done. Now there is a headstone in here, a remarkable looking headstone, and I'll bring you in a bit closer to have a look. Look at the design on this. We have a ship. Isn't that amazing? And we'll try and read it. It says sacred to the memory of Mr. William Donovan, I think it could be. It's hard to read it. William Donovan was 26 years old at the time of his death. Both he and his brother sailed with the Navy. He was killed by grape shot while leading his ship, the Modeste, to battle in 1908. The ship on it. And if we go back this way, then we'll go inside the old church ruin here. There's a number of graves inside. So this is the old church ruin, and just as you go in the entrance here of the old church ruin, this is the oldest grave in the cemetery, and it says here lied the body of Stephen Towse, I think, Towse, who departed this life the 26th of October. And there you can see 1698 on it. And also his wife, Eliza, I'd say, is buried there. So that's the oldest grave in the cemetery. And this is inside the old church ruin. And to the left of the church ruin inside here is the grave of Reverend Charles Wolfe. So he lived in Bordeaux in France, and he was a writer. He wrote a lot of poems and stuff. So when he was living in Bordeaux in France, he became extremely ill, and he came to Cove here in Cork to see would the weather, the fresh air, make him a bit better, as they did back then in those days. And he lived for a number of years, I think, in Cove, and he passed away, and he was buried inside the old church here. Now this grave that we're looking at here, this chest tomb, This one says, in memory of Elizabeth Ann, Countess of Huntington, who was born in 1817 and died in 1857, aged 39. So she was a Countess of Huntington, Elizabeth. So this is another interesting looking grave. We have the railing all around it, and I like the style of it. And on the front of it here it says, in memory of Anna Maria, wife of the Reverend T.E. Nash, who died in 1871. And around the other side here we have, sacred to the memory of the Reverend T. Edmund Nash, rector of Macroom, for 16 years curate of this parish. He died the 21st of March 1853, aged 61. But that is a lovely design on it there. See those little legs underneath it there, the stonework. So this is the old church. There's a fence around this. And I've said before about the name, and we can see it here on this grave, Queenstown. So Cove was originally called Queenstown due to Queen Victoria. I think she named it Queenstown, and then it was changed in later years to Cove. So this is the Lieutenant Colonel Richard Lloyd who's buried here. Another chest tomb here, and this is sacred to the memory of Henry Benson, who died the 14th of December 1871, aged 18 years and 9 months. Now there's an interesting grave just here, a headstone. And just at the top of it we can see the all-seeing eye, they call that. The Freemason symbol on it. Look at that. And on it here it says, here lies the body of William Knowles. And if you can see that there, it says a sail maker from Liverpool, who was drowned at Cove in 1813, in the 32nd year of his age. So he was 32 years old, he drowned in Cove. A sail maker. Very interesting, that one. Now, around here somewhere else, there's some more interesting graves. I've seen one earlier. If I can find it, I'll show it to you. It's a Momento mori, and I think this is it here. The skull and crossbones. Have a look at this. There's the skull and crossbones, look at that. And there's no solicitors involved or copyright claims on this. This is for everybody to see, if you get my drift. So the name on this is Antonio D-E-S Deskov. It's kind of hard to read. The inscription is hard to see on it, but an interesting one. Look at that, the skull and crossbones, Memento Mori. Now there is a few dotted around the old cemetery here, some beautiful designs on them. This is the burial place of Roger Dorney of Cove. Lovely stonework on that as well, the angels. And all that orange lichen on it. And just down the bottom of the grave we see more little skulls. Just there, there's one either side of it. Look at that. So I suppose we'll go down this way and read a couple of these. The old graveyard here is very interesting. Any idea, Niall, of when this graveyard was opened, or in the 1800s?
Well, there's records here going back maybe 2 or 3 centuries of it being a Christian site.
It was a Christian site centuries ago.
I kind of I think there was a couple of churches here, and that whole building where Reverend Charles Wolfe is that we were just in.
The old church ruin, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was left in 1804, and they built a new church, or opened a new church in where the present day cathedral was.
Alright.
And it was a Church of Ireland church. And so but this previously had been Catholic, and then the Church of Ireland took it over. But going back, there's records here of some form of Christian church or place of worship and burial. And the original graveyard here only went halfway over, and then they bought the far side, and then they bought like the bottom.
Yeah.
But this now, as you were looking a while ago, the oldest headstone is 1698.
That's the one we were reading, 1698.
No, but there is previous burials to that, but there's no headstone, or there's no mark.
There's no way of...
Yeah, but there is recordings of burials being on this site.
Oh, yeah.
Going back a long time before that.
Yeah, that's
and I think there was kind of a monk's
monastery. Monastery, is it?
Kind of a monastery here of some form.
Yeah.
Going back, I think, to roughly the 8th or 9th century.
Wow.
So since about then, it's been constantly been used.
Up through all the centuries, different.
Right, and it's still, even like today, down the new section down here, there's still burials taking place.
Alright.
Now, all the plots in the graveyard have been sold, but there's still, even last week there was a burial down here.
And there's even famous actors buried here.
Yeah, and there's
Charles Hallahan, an actor.
And there's a lot of military graves here. I know things to do with ships and old sailing boats due to the history of Cork Harbour. And this was the whole graveyard is a Christian. I'd say Christian. Now there's every denomination here. There's atheists and Protestants, Jews, Hindus, Muslims. Well, that's all buried here.
That's good. That's great information.
It is, as opposed to some graveyards in Ireland would be Catholic, or there'd only be one or denomination or Church of Ireland. But here you've every creed, you've atheists, and
you've all sorts of denominations buried here, religions, and which is good too to see, that it's for everybody and it's not just the one religion. So this is another one here. You can see the railing around it, so they have cleaned all around the area here and done a great job on it. Took out all the overgrowth that's in it. But if you zoom in closely there, you can see the hand is holding the scroll where the inscription is on the grave. Isn't that lovely to see? And it's erected by William in memory of his children. We've another beautiful headstone. I just spotted this. And this is erected by Jeremiah O'Neill in memory of his beloved father and mother. And angel symbols on it there, carvings. And they're in very good condition, to be honest, for the year. And 1845 is the year on this. And they almost look like they were just carved yesterday. Just such in good condition. Oh, that's the urn, yeah. This is a really nice one as well. In loving memory of Ethel, Sarah, daughter of Thomas. Brown, who died in 1891, aged only 11 years old. Isn't that a beautiful grave? With the urn on top and the drape over it. And sometimes when I look at that, it almost looks like it's a trophy. A Champions League trophy that you'd see in the football on television. What a beautiful grave, look at that. So loads of fine monuments and graves here in the old cemetery in Cove, and I'll wrap it up here at this one. There's a very interesting story here behind this grave, and this is the grave of Gabriel Kaidenich, I think, who was born in Austria, and he died here in Cove in 1885. He died, and there's an anchor on the grave and a big sacred heart that's on it. Now if I go around the back of the grave, you'll notice something here, and it's this piece. You can actually take this piece off the monument, the grave monument, and put it back on again. Now the story behind that is that when this was being shipped to Cove, this grave monument, the story goes that that part of it there was purposely chiseled out of the grave monument, so it was damaged goods, so they would avoid having to pay taxes to have this shipped over because of the damage on it. So how clever were they back in the day to come across that idea? And that is the grave, the heart on it. So on that note, guys, I think I'm going to wrap up the video here. Thanks for walking around this old cemetery with me and seeing all these very interesting graves, old graves. And a big thanks to Niall from Cove for coming along with me. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all on the next cemetery adventure. Take care, guys.